Cortisol is a hormone that we all have in our body, but it also is one that we can have a pretty complex relationship with. Most people know cortisol as the stress hormone, since it is released when we are feeling upset, anxious, or scared about something. The symptoms of high cortisol are what we describe as our fight or flight response. But getting that extreme feeling or rush of adrenaline regularly can also be pretty draining on our body, as well as our mind. It can make it a lot harder to relax and to enjoy yourself, since you are constantly having to calm yourself down. That's why today we are going to try to give you the tools to identify these symptoms yourself, with 10 signs you have high cortisol. Number 1. Weight gain around the midsection and face. Cushing syndrome is a condition caused by having too much cortisol flowing through your body, and can result in people that are overly anxious or dealing with great amounts of stress in their own lives. A very common symptom of Cushing syndrome is weight gain, but it usually doesn't distribute itself evenly when it is a cause of stress. Instead, when you gain weight as a result of high cortisol levels, you often will see it most in your midsection and in your face. Your face tends to round out as your body often stores stress-related fat in your midsection and cheeks. That's why a lot of people who go to the gym with the express purpose of shedding belly fat can find it so difficult. Your body reacts really strongly to stress and feels it needs to store extra fat in the effort of keeping you healthy. So if you feel like you aren't making any progress at the gym no matter how many crunches, sit-ups, or other ab exercises you do, you may in fact be suffering from stress more than anything. In some cases, lowering your cortisol levels can make it easier to shed those pounds too. Number 2, you may bruise more easily. A really interesting symptom of high cortisol is the fact that it can cause your skin to become thinner. Consequently, you may notice that you get cuts easier, and that you tend to bruise more often than you remember. This can actually pose some element of concern, as you don't want to put your body through the cellular repair process that often. As you can see, high cortisol can have some interesting effects on your body. But losing some of the thickness of your skin for defense purposes opens you up to attacks and makes the possibility of a weakened immune response more likely. This is because your body is having to deal not just with more cuts and bruises, but also the potential of intruders like bacteria, infection, viruses, and more to battle against. Getting your cortisol levels under control can help relieve some of the strain that your immune system is under, which leaves you healthier and hopefully having to deal with illness less. Number 3, difficulty concentrating. When you're stressed, it can be pretty hard to center yourself. That's why a lot of people try things like meditation or yoga in order to get a better hold on their emotions. Concentration is important in our lives, as without it, work is almost impossible to get done. In fact, having a hard time concentrating and trying to work through it can actually stress you out more, releasing even more cortisol into your body and making things even harder. Because of this, trying to find ways to get yourself out of these moods is important. If you have cortisol-related concentration issues, the only way to get out of it really is to ground yourself. Finding ways to relax when your stress or anxiety is spiking is helpful for a lot of people, and trying new ways to make yourself feel better until one works can be a very fruitful endeavor. Number 4, acne. You may have known that stress can cause acne, but the release of the stress hormone is most of the reason why. Hormone changes can really affect your skin, resulting in acne and red spots to appear if you become too stressed. That's a large part of the reason why most people deal with acne as teenagers, since their hormones are firing on all cylinders, and it results in quite a bit of fluctuation. Even people with clear and healthy skin can develop acne if they are releasing enough cortisol, much to their frustration. You can try to apply skin cleansers and acne medication to get rid of the acne faster if you like, but that's just treating a symptom and not the whole problem. As with most of the entries on this list, the best way to solve this issue is to try to regulate your hormones by relaxing, depending on how long you've been stressed or how much cortisol is floating around. You may start to see things begin to return to normal in only a day or two. Number 5, diminished sex drive. One of the more common symptoms of high cortisol is a decrease in your sex drive or even erectile dysfunction in some men. When people experience frequent bursts of adrenaline from the adrenal gland, they can have a hard time accessing it on their own. Our bodies try to strike a delicate balance when it comes to hormones, and the stress ones seem to influence the ones that we use for intercourse a great deal. Although ED only occurs in men, both men and women can experience this drop in sex drive when they are releasing high amounts of cortisol. This isn't a symptom that everyone experiences when dealing with stress, but it is fairly common. And if you're experiencing it, you may need to deal with that anxiety before you are able to properly feel those desires again, at least according to the Mayo Clinic. Number 6. Loss of emotional control. One of the most frustrating feelings for people to go through is losing control of their emotions. Not only can this feel a little scary in the moment, but these outbursts or lapses can impact our lives, as well as our careers and relationships. Unfortunately, this is exactly what can happen when your cortisol levels stay high enough for too long. This type of symptom usually doesn't appear unless your cortisol levels have been high for quite some time, but there are, of course, exceptions. If you feel like you are losing control of your emotions as a result of stress, you may want to consider limiting your stressors in life for a little bit, as this may help lessen the load. Number 7. Trouble sleeping. High cortisol and sleep go hand in hand, and can result in you struggling to fall asleep at night. Most people describe this sort of feeling as having a hard time turning their mind off, and that feeling can stick with them throughout the entirety of the night. For most people, not being able to sleep is a stressful event, and it can lead to people spiraling and becoming even more stressed. When this happens, you are going to have a very hard time falling asleep, and it can also shake your confidence the following night as well. Forming a healthy relationship between your sleep and your stress is important, and can really help you to have a better time at night. Separating your work as well as other potentially stressful aspects of your life can be an effective tool at catching more Z's in the evening, and can help you feel more awake the next day too. Number 8. Muscle weakness. Going back to the physical reactions that our body has to high cortisol levels, muscle weakness is one that might interest the more active among us. If you're trying to get through a workout with Cushing syndrome, or you have been holding on to a lot of stress recently, you may experience worse results than you are used to. People don't have to be lifting weights or running marathons to experience the effects of high cortisol levels on their muscles, though. People can also go through aches and pains as a result of stress and have a harder time shaking them off than usual. Number 9. Pink or purple stretch marks appearing in certain spots. Stretch marks are very common despite having a kind of negative perception among a lot of people who have them. They are natural and can come about thanks to age, where the skin starts to lose elasticity and stretch, or rapid weight gain or weight loss. They're also a genetic thing, and some people are more susceptible to them than others. If you have begun to notice stretch marks around your stomach, breasts, thighs, or arms, however, you may want to take a look at your cortisol levels, as this could be a symptom. It's even more likely that this is the case if you haven't really experienced stretch marks, or the causes for them that we just mentioned. Stretch marks will fade over time, and there are ointments and processes you can go through if you really hate them. But the bigger headline here is the fact that you are carrying around a lot more cortisol than the average person, and that should probably be your first concern. Number 10. Extreme fatigue. When your body is forced to enter into its fight or flight response, it draws adrenaline to do so. This adrenaline can make us do amazing things, but it isn't something that we can regularly draw from. On top of that, the strain that it may have caused is definitely going to be felt after things have calmed down too. This can lead to a very intense feeling of fatigue that can be very difficult to shake off. After a period of time, this feeling should begin to subside. But you may have to first deal with your anxiety and stress before you are able to say goodbye to that kind of fatigue for good. Here are 2 more videos you might find interesting. If you enjoy this video, give it a like and share the video with your friends. And for more interesting videos on health, subscribe to the channel.